Welcome to the Psychology of Silent Hill 2. In today's episode, I'll be breaking down the first hour of the game and explain why it's just a bit more clever than most horror games out there. I'm George Damon from Gpad. Let's get started. Before the game even begins, you're already given a choice. Two of them. To be specific, these are the puzzle and combat difficulties. Separated so that if you really want a brain teaser but aren't the best when it comes to action in video games, there's a setup just for you. The same goes for people who don't want to bother with the puzzles much but really get a kick out of fighting the nightmare fuel that are the Silent Hill monsters. In this game, you play as James Sunderland, a husband on the search for his late wife Mary, who died years earlier of a sickness. After receiving a letter from her asking to come meet in their special place, James, the lovable guy that he is, decides it seems reasonable enough and drives on over to pleasant Silent Hill to meet up with the ghost woman. The game starts out with James in a bathroom right outside the town, and after a short reading of Mary's letter, control is given to the player. Here we can decide on the control scheme we want. In this game, there are two of them, 3D type and 2D type. 3D type is the traditional Resident Evil and Silent Hill tank controls the series is famous for. 2D type controls more like a regular third-person shooter you'd find today, with full range of motion but limited combat efficiency. So after we grab the town map from the car, we can go on our way to town from the nearby nature trail. Here, the camera is fixed in front of James, making everything in front of you the unknown. It's an effective way of filling the player with this unsettling vibe as the forest emits inhuman noises and footsteps from all around you. Nothing can hurt you at this point, but the game does a good job of making the player feel like something is after them. Being the long and winding trail that it is, this makes the player want to get out of there as quickly as possible, forcing them to experiment and discover that there is in fact a run button. You'll soon come across a well along the trail. Further investigation reveals that it is in fact a save point. Throughout the game, you'll come across these little red squares quite a lot, so make sure to save often and memorize where they are, because there is no way to save the game from the menu if you want to end your game. Eventually, you'll reach a cemetery and enter a cutscene with this strange woman. Here, you'll probably notice that the way the characters speak is a little off. It's very stilted, almost dreamlike. And the way James says this line in particular makes him sound almost more unsettling than the woman he's talking to.
I got it. I'll be careful.
I'm not lying!
No, I believe you. It's just, I guess I really don't care if it's dangerous or not. I'm going to town either way.
He sounds almost threatening, like he's willing to do anything to meet his goals. After the cutscene is over, I recommend trying to talk to her again. This interaction cracks me up and seems much more natural than the conversation from earlier, if you can see what I mean.
What is it?
Oh, nothing. Sure is quiet here, huh?
I guess.
As you can see, player vision is extremely limited thanks to the thick fog surrounding Silent Hill. The PS2's draw distance might be to blame for this, but it makes for great atmosphere. As I mentioned earlier, the unknown at times is scarier than what's directly in front of you. Once you reach the town of Silent Hill, things start to get interesting. I'm now going to break down exactly how the game uses basic psychology to point you in the right direction, as well as make you familiar with the town with this clever silent tutorial. If you're on your first playthrough, you might not know where to go right away, so open the map to see your goal is Rosewater Park, all the way across town. At this point, you're scared. You've heard from the woman in the cemetery, this town is dangerous. The player is going to naturally want to take the seemingly safest route there. Nathan Avenue is wide open and inviting. It would feel much more safe than running straight through the town's cramped streets and low visibility, so the player would want to go up Lindsay Street first. Before you can even reach it, this scene plays with an odd humanoid creature hobbling away in what seems like a straitjacket. That was weird and all, but we weren't attacked, and they're bleeding, so you're creeped out but not really threatened. Again, the fog adds a lot to this scene, making the figure ambiguous and impossible to identify. In the HD re-release that's become sort of infamous at this point, the fog has been significantly reduced, making the figure in the fog an obvious monster to avoid, destroying the ambiguity and almost misleading the player who might run in the other direction and become lost in town. Now let's assume that I'm a player who is curious and feels safe enough to investigate further after seeing the same bloodstains leading onto Vox Road, which is at least on the way to Nathan Avenue. As a player, you might think, hey, if things go wrong on Vox Road, I can still make it to Nathan Avenue from here. That's pretty smart, isn't it? If the road was a dead end on the map, it would be less appealing to investigate since we're trying to get to Rosewater Park after all. On the way, you'll notice this open gate with a save point inside. This fills the player with even more confidence. They might say, now that I saved the game, I can reload if things go south. So you'll also notice some health drinks here, and if you've ever played a horror game, this means a confrontation is more than likely happening soon. When you finally catch up with the creature, it's huddled up, devouring a body, and nearby is a radio that emits this awful static sound. James grabs a nearby wooden plank, and control is given back to the player. Now let's pause for a second here. I don't know how to fight. This is extremely close quarters. What are the controls? What am I doing? The game thrusts you into this encounter, forcing you to learn how to defend yourself or die and get sent back, not too far, but back to your last save. James is just a regular man. He's no action hero or even very muscular. He's an everyman that represents you, the player. A regular person might not know how to kill somebody, and this is reflected in this sequence. You're doing this for the first time, and it's great design that fits and keeps you and James together as one being. They want you to project yourself onto James, and this is another great way Silent Hill 2 does that. After defeating the lion figure, you're met with a dead end, so it's back to town with our fancy new radio that signals us of enemies nearby, and a wooden plank to defend ourselves with. On the way back, you also pass by that save point we hit earlier, so that's pretty nice. So now that we've had this experience, the town is crawling with these lion figures. The lion figure is feminine in shape and appears to be wearing a straitjacket. This is representative of James's wife Mary when she was in the hospital. All of the enemies in this game are projections of deep problems with James. The lion figure isn't the only one. This game was the debut of the sexy nurses and even triangle head, even pyramid head. But I won't spoil any more for the sake of those who have yet to play the game. So let's try going back up Lindsay Street. Looks like I can't go this way, so let's check the map again. If I can't go any further up Lindsay Street, the next best thing is Neely Street, so let's try there. Well, what do you know, I'm blocked off again, and now I have to deal with crawling lion figures racing across the streets. Here, we learn that enemies need to be finished off after defeated. Okay, if Neely Street didn't work, that leaves Munson Street, so let's check it out. And this way is blocked off too. How am I supposed to get to Rosewater Park? Everything I've tried has either been locked or completely inaccessible, so let's go back to the map. It seems that our only option left is Saul Street at the bottom of town, since it's another way to reach Munson Street. But again, once we get there, it's a dead end, making the whole situation feel hopeless. At the end of Saul Street, there's a strange trailer with its door open, prompting the player to go inside. Nothing else has worked so far, so it couldn't hurt to check. Inside, you'll find another save point and a mysterious map hinting of something of interest at Neely's Bar. You finally have a lead, and when you get to Neely's Bar, you wonder, how were you supposed to find this without the help of the trailer map? The bar is unmarked and doesn't look like anything special, like at all. A player passing by would probably think it's not anything to interact with because it's totally simple look. Inside, you'll find another clue, this time leading us to the alleyway. You'll also find this weird writing on the wall. There was a hole here. It's gone now. Was this hinting at Silent Hill 4 and its mechanic of holes that lead to other worlds? Probably not, but it's such a bizarre little tidbit I couldn't help but mention it. But once we finally go down Martin Street, we'll be met with another lion figure who scared the shit out of me, in all honesty, and a dead body with the apartment gate key that will allow us into the Woodside Apartments. finally giving us a way to get to Rosewater Park, the goal we've had since the very beginning. Silent Hill 2 could have easily told you what to do and how to do it, but decides to be a bit mysterious and let the design lead you through town in just the right way. With the player desperately trying to find a way to Rosewater Park, they will encounter nearly every area of the map, while the final piece of the puzzle was naturally in the last place they would look. It really goes to show that Team Silent really worked hard to make these games as good as they are. Even today, Silent Hill 2 is considered one of the greatest horror games of all time, and for more reasons than I showed in this video. This is just the opening hour, and the rest of the game is filled with so much more that I highly recommend you experience it for yourself. I'm playing on the greatest hits version on the PS2 that boasts new ending scenarios and is considered the most definitive version. Just be sure not to play the damn HD re-release. Konami?
What are you doing? What does it look like? He always busted my balls. From now on, if anyone makes fun of me, I'll kill him. Just like that.
Konami?
Have you gone nuts? I knew it. You too. You're just like him, James.
Hey, I didn't mean anything.
Don't bother. I understand. You've been laughing at me all along, haven't you? Ever since we first met. I'll kill you, James!
That's the end of the video, so thank you very, very much for watching. There are lots of videos just like this one. I will leave a playlist. There will eventually be a playlist up on screen, but leave a comment if you have an idea for something interesting to talk about next week. We do these kind of things from time to time where we just talk about design aspects and clever things that game designers will do to tell you how to do things without actually telling you directly, if that makes any sense. Right now we're playing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Eyes of Heaven, so here's a playlist to that. We also are playing Dark Souls 3, which is ending pretty damn soon, so the playlist is... oh, Jesus. The playlist is completely updated, and, you know, go ahead and watch that. We'll be switching to something afterward, and we also have kill screens, so thank you for joining us. Adios.